Hi everyone! Today we're going to be baking a rainbow cake in a jar. And we're going to be following this recipe to an exact T. Now, there are a few steps and precautions we want to take because we want to be as safe as possible in the kitchen as we can, because accidents do happen, especially while I'm working with heat and with knives. So the first thing we're going to want to do is, if you have long hair, is to tie it back. Now, I already washed my hands and I already took my jewelry off. It's essentially like being in a lab in school. And our first step is actually going to be to preheat this oven to 350. Now, preheating an oven is very important while baking because essentially it'll cook unevenly if you stick it in when the temperature is not ready. So the ingredients we're going to be using are simply a white cake mix, mason jars, and food coloring. Now these are all just really simple ingredients. This is a simple recipe. You can make it for Easter, any springtime occasion. But in Buffalo, it does get very dreary in the winter, so this is a very fun recipe to make. So I'm going to be posting a link to this recipe below, and you can just follow along if you don't feel like reading. So our first thing is going to be and we're just going to follow the package instructions, which call for 1 1/4 cup of water, 3 eggs, and 1/3 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Now, if you are vegan, you probably already know substitutions for things like eggs, milk, any dairy. But if you do not want to use the 3 eggs, you can use about a 1/2 cup of applesauce, unsweetened applesauce, per egg. So this recipe calls for 3 eggs. So you use about 1.5 cups of applesauce. Now, when cracking an egg, you probably want adult supervision if you're young, because no one likes eating eggshells. But just take your time, practice, and it becomes second nature. So in here I have the cake mix, the eggs. I have 1 1/4 cup of water here. And now I need 1/3 cup vegetable oil. And this is just the directions on the back of the white cake. With baking, you want to be very precise with your measurements because baking is science. All right, we have all these ingredients in here, and now I'm just gonna start to mix this up. Okay, my batter is completely liquid. There are no chunks of cake mix. And this is the part where you can get a little creative. Now, we're going to separate this cake into about 4 or 5 separate bowls. This depends on how many colors you'd like in your rainbow. I choose about 4. I like even numbers. Now, I'm just gonna pour this batter into 4 separate bowls. Verbatim, the recipe does say about 1/2 cup in each bowl, but it says you can not be precise. Now that my batter is separated into 4 bowls, I'm going to want to create different colors using food dye. Now, I think I'm going to have some fun with this and just do different shades of purple, pink, blue. You're going to want to add 2 to 3 drops to begin with. I'll do that one blue. This, do red, some green, and yellow. So I've successfully tinted each cake batter dish until it was very vibrant, which is something the recipe does specify. Now, here comes a part that may get a little messy. For these mason jars, we're going to grab about 3 pint-sized ones. I recycled these from sauce jars because nothing beats homemade sauce. I already pre-cleaned these, wiped them down. They're nice and dry. Now you're going to want to take vegetable oil and just coat the inside of these cans. Once these cans are heavily coated with some vegetable oil, which ensures that the cake does not stick to them, we're going to grab 3 tablespoons of our first color. Now, I'm going to start with this purple, blue, magenta I've created, and I'm just going to grab about 3 heaping spoonfuls and add it to my jar. So I've completely layered all the batter into my jars. It's a very pastel color, and I only got about halfway through these 2 jars, which is okay with me because it just means more frosting. So I've placed the baking sheet in the oven, and now this recipe says to, in a shallow baking dish, add about 1/4 inch of water into the baking sheet, which I'm doing. This doesn't have to be precise. We're just about coating the bottom of the baking sheet with water. Okay? Now, I definitely advise a parent to do that. I'm now adding the mason jars to the oven, and I'm gonna wait about 30 to 32 minutes before I check on them. I'll see you then. This